let me add my thanks to you being here. I didn't know how many were going to be here, and so I prepared for 25, but don't worry, all of the materials that we have prepared will be available on the website that ORS maintains for us. And just lots of folks have worked on this, but I really want to, again, offer some deep, deep thanks to the Office of Research and Statistics because of all the other stuff they do. It's not just that they're helping us with this study, but they do maintain that website for us, which I often send people to when they call me for data. They are the ones that are going to make me famous on YouTube by actually taping this thing so that we have this wonderful recorded event for posterity. I'm beyond excited about this. And I know that you will want to look at it many, many times. So this is really going to be great for y'all. Bruce.
Anita, what website is that? Is that the SC Homeless?
The SCHomeless.org. Yes, SCHomeless.org. 2007 is still up there, the data. It's still available to y'all. And of course, instantly after this, we'll have all of the forms up there, all of these training materials, so that you can download them and print them to your heart's content for the work that you're going to do around the count and the trainings and everything else that you need. So, without anything more, let's go ahead and get started here. And I was going to bring incentives so that when you found the mistakes in the PowerPoint, you would get something, but you'll just have to tell me about them because I forgot to buy candy today, so just you get an extra donut. Okay, the background. Mike has already suggested to you that what we've done this year was, we have been working actually, believe it or not, in committee, and all the coalitions have been represented. So the decisions really were collective, and we really tried to implement a lot of lessons learned from the last count. And just to celebrate for a second, this is actually our third statewide count, which is really pretty good. And people actually look now to South Carolina on many levels for suggestions about how to do the count. So as hard as this is, and as much as we still have to learn, you know, I think we're really trying to do a good job, and I think we're having some real success. I think that the best news this year is that we have really tried to simplify it. So it's not forms A, 1, 2, 3, forms B, form C, 2, 3, 7. So hopefully this will be much clearer, the way that we're going to approach this. This is kind of the brief overview of what we're going to cover, point-in-time counts in general, but just very in general. And then the methods that have been adopted by the committee and that we're implementing this year for South Carolina. And for any of you that have never done this, you know that we need to do the sheltered and the unsheltered counts. So we're going to cover the strategies that we're implementing for that. The other thing is that we'll obviously go over the forms. We have a little bit of tips around training volunteers to actually do surveys. And then for the final part, and I do hope that we'll be out of here 12:30-ish, the final part, we do want to hear from the coalitions because while we have a statewide methodology and while we have all the common forms, and by the way, you may only use our forms this year. We got, you know, kind of extemporaneously created forms last time, so we'll just be using our forms this year. But with all of that, I do want at the end to hear about what the emphasis is going to be across the different coalitions, because you all know your communities and kind of take this differently depending on your resources and the experience of homelessness in your community. So we do want to spend some time sharing that. Okay? Okay, again, you of course know, you guys I know have this all tattooed on your hearts like me, that the purpose of this is really to understand the number of characteristics of people sleeping in shelters and then on the street. So it's basically people that are sheltered and people who are not sheltered living on the street in places not meant for human habitation. The definition is to get an unduplicated one-night count or estimate, and we'll be doing a count of sheltered and unsheltered adults, children, and youth. And then, of course, we will continue to work on identifying the subpopulations as defined by HUD. Okay, we all know the count is January 29th this year, and what we're trying to do is the point in time in each county in South Carolina. And that's how the data will be delivered to you. We'll disaggregate it by county. The goals, number one this year, is to meet HUD requirements. Yay! You're supposed to cheer now. Come on, Kurt, give us a cheer. Meet HUD requirements. At different points, we had developed other instruments, but we really never got to implement them last year because, frankly, this is plenty of work for people that are doing it for free. So this is what we're going to focus on this year, which is HUD. The second is to try to improve understanding of the experience in homelessness to some extent. We don't have follow-up surveys, additional surveys, but we are blessed, again, that the Office of Research and Statistics, provided we give good data to them, good matching data, will be able to look at the experience of the folks that we count in the state system. So what kind of public mainstream services are they consuming, and to some extent, what is the cost of those services? So we have that value add now that we've got these wonderful agreements between the Office of Research and Statistics and all of the coalitions. So this could really be sort of the big extra data, the extra information, the extra planning information that we have this year. Okay, again, HUD required data, you guys know this, biennial point in time counts until we get HMIS to the point that they'll do it every year or maybe even twice a year. The annual housing inventory chart, obviously you all just completed that well over, I don't know, a 9-month time frame this year to get the HUD app submitted. But this is your good resource for where you're going to be doing your shelter count, obviously. And then, of course, annually they also want the HMIS unduplicated count, which is different than, of course, the point in time. Okay, what do we have to report on? Unaccompanied number of adults, number of families and adults with children and families, and unaccompanied youth. Obviously, again, when we look at shelter, it's emergency shelter, transitional housing, and people who are using motel vouchers that they don't pay for. So if the church is securing this, if they're putting them up, if it's an agency, that's when we look and consider them homeless. I think at different points people have gone kind of door to door or talked to managers of motels and gotten their best guess about who's homeless. That's not what we're doing this year. We're sticking strictly to this definition. Okay, the unsheltered, again, people who are living in places not meant for human habitation. Okay, so these are on the street, in the cars, sidewalks, garages, abandoned buildings, not meant for human habitation, which is a little bit different than not fit for human habitation. Again, the mainstream service experience and some of the cost of those mainstream services in terms of the extent to which they're consumed by people who are homeless.